Hey, what's up, man? Hector here, StrongAsHeck.com. In this video, we're gonna be opening up a 3-part series on how to build a stronger and more capable body using one kettlebell and your body weight. In the previous video, I shared if I had to do it all over again, here's how I would approach my strength training. As I look back on 21 plus years of doing jiu-jitsu, 10 plus years of running this gym, coaching over 1,200 plus people. If I had to start all over again, I would do one thing. I would focus more on the concepts of strength training versus all of the how-tos and all of the particulars. Okay, I would focus on the concepts. Think of the concepts as the why behind the how. Okay, so we often teach and talk about approaching your training as a practice and not as a workout, and I believe that to be true. We need to understand why we're practicing specific things before we can start to drill and practice them, right? So from a jiu-jitsu perspective, before doing drills, before practicing techniques, I think you need to understand why you're doing certain things. Why are you gripping the lapel a certain way? Why are you positioning your body in a certain way, right? Makes sense? Same thing with when it comes to strength training. Why are we gripping the bell a particular way? Why are we setting our body up in a particular way? What's the rationale behind rest periods, et cetera, et cetera. So when you can understand the concepts of what it is that you're doing, you can now practice those concepts. You can now drill those concepts. And then what happens is, as you begin to drill the concepts enough, they begin to manifest themselves in the strength training, because at that point things become automatic, and that's what we really want. And that's the essence of what we're talking about when we say strength is everything becomes automatic. You don't have to think about squeezing your glutes because you've practiced that long enough, because you know the reason behind that. You don't have to crush the handle because you understand why you're doing that, and it becomes automatic. Makes sense? And that's kind of what this whole entire series that we're gonna be putting together for you is all about. For the next several videos, we're gonna be talking about how to build a stronger, more capable body, kind of starting from the ground up. And we're gonna be showing you how to do that with one kettlebell and your body weight in this series. So let's get started. All right, so the first thing that we're gonna be focusing on in this video is cross-body stabilization, okay? Why should you even care about that? Well, our body moves reciprocally, right? We move left and right? Opposites attract. We don't move like a robot, right? We need to be able to reflexively move in these ways. And one of the best ways to do that is doing that on the ground, kind of learning how to put these things together on the floor. The shoulder is the most versatile joint in the body, but it's also the easiest to injure, and it can take the longest to recover from, okay? And you hear people talk about exercises to strengthen your rotator cuff, when there's really no exercise that can strengthen your rotator cuff. Your rotator cuff is a stability muscle, right? All it wants to do is hold on while the prime movers, the main muscles, do the job. So you can't consciously contract and get your rotator cuff to turn on, right? So if I said fire your rotator cuff, you wouldn't be able to do that. Your rotator cuff fires reflexively, automatic, okay? And so by going through this, you're gonna get a good understanding of why you're gripping certain things, why I highly recommend starting with only one kettlebell and training with one kettlebell for a long period of time, okay? For everybody, that is going to be longer or shorter, okay? But to set a foundation of strength, you need to use one kettlebell, and I'll explain more about that in this series, okay? In this video, we're just gonna talk about compression, okay? So 2 ways to get your rotator cuff to turn on. Number 1 is compression. That's what we're gonna cover in this video. The next one, we're gonna cover in our next video in this series, okay? So compression, that is simply putting your body under load, all right? So this is why I highly recommend doing this body weight, getting on the ground first. The moment that you put your hands on the floor, rotator cuff turns on automatically, okay? So there's several movement systems that have become very popular that talk a lot about this. Crawling, rocking, things like that. We know they call these resets. These are really great for getting the shoulder stimulated. Getting your hands on the floor, okay, very important. And I highly encourage you, I'm not setting a good example here, but I highly encourage you to be barefoot as well, okay? The reason why that's important is the reason why we want to be barefoot, and the reason why, barefoot training has become this thing over the last, 10 plus years, is because the bottom of your hands and the bottom of your feet is where you gather information. The fancy word is mechanoreceptors, okay? So you have these mechanoreceptors that are gathering information, sending them to your brain, building a visual movement map, okay? Temperature, texture, that kind of thing. And so when you wear shoes, really thick soled shoes, you're not gathering information of where your body's at in space and time, okay? Which is why you don't use weightlifting gloves, right? No weightlifting gloves, no little wrist guards when using kettlebells. You don't need that stuff. Here's why. Because I'm a tyrant and I want you to just work through the pain? No, here's why. You're not gathering information, you're not getting feedback. If you wear a fancy wrist guard when you're doing kettlebell cleans and you don't know what you're doing, you don't understand the concepts of what's happening here, and the bell just slams into you, you're not gonna feel it. So the beauty of the kettlebell is it's self-correcting. The beauty of what we're gonna show today is it's self-correcting. It lets you know what's happening. If you're wearing gloves and you don't know why you should be gripping the bell a certain way, you'll never get feedback. But the moment you don't have gloves on and you start getting blisters or tears, you're getting immediate external feedback that what you're doing is not working, right? Shoes, same thing. Your foot is made to, your toes are made to, create to spread, grab the ground. If you're gonna lose your balance, your toes try to grab the ground. But you can't get that information when you got shoes on. Okay, now does this mean that you should live your whole life barefoot? No, but in the confines of strength training where we can control the environment, I highly encourage you to explore some barefoot stuff, okay? Hands on the floor, all right? And this is a very simple one for today's video. All I want you to focus on doing is what they call creating the X, okay? Creating the X and crossing midline, okay? So simple. All you're gonna do is be on all fours, and you're just gonna elevate opposite arm, opposite leg, just like this. That's it. Here. Opposite arm, opposite leg, just like this. Hold it for about a 1 to 2 count. And you're just going to alternate sides. This is it, okay? One thing that you can add to this is tapping of your shoulders. So come up, tap. Now you're crossing midline, right, left, opposite sides, okay? You can do on your knee as well, okay? That's crossing midline, okay? Take your hand, touch your left ear. Take your other hand, touch your other ear, crossing midline, all right? So here's why this is important, okay, concepts, when it comes to strength training. If you cannot elevate opposite arm and opposite leg, okay? This is what we call rotary stability, fighting rotational forces. If we can't do that automatically, reflexively, if we can't do that, right? If I elevate this and I start like kind of flopping all over the place, doing one arm kettlebell swings and snatches, anything one arm, you won't be able to do it because your body cannot fight rotational forces. And this is something that needs to be done reflexively, not done through feed forward tension, right? You've got feed forward and then feed back tension, okay? You can't hard style this. This is something that needs to be found early. So if you cannot maintain connection with your one arm swing, snatching, pressing, you're practicing your one arm push-up, if you can't maintain that stuff in the training, if you don't know why you can't do that, you need to back up to something very simple like this. Hands on the floor, X lift. We call it X lift in the ground force method system, okay? X lift. Super simple. Now, let's say you're a rock star at that and you got that down. And you might notice one side is more competent than the other side, okay? Make note of that. You might need to spend more time on one side than the other. If you rock star that and you can own that position, the next would be to elevate up. Take your knees off the ground, okay? So, knees up, and the exact same thing. X lift. And you're alternating sides, okay? If you come here and you start to fall all over the place, then that means you need to spend more time here, okay? The reason why this gets challenging, more challenging, is because we remove a layer of support, okay? Right now I'm on all 6 points of contact, toes, knees, hands. The moment I bring my knees up, I'm only now 4 points of contact. It's gonna put more strain through the midsection. It's going to increase rotational forces in the midsection. So if we cannot maintain alignment on all fours, on all 6 points, and then from there we elevate that to all 4 points, if we can't maintain that, good luck progressing with your one arm kettlebell movements, which is why I recommend one arm kettlebell stuff, not double kettlebell. Double kettlebell is way further down the journey. The reason I don't recommend double kettlebell, if you're new to this whole strength training thing, and even if you're an advanced kettlebeller, is because you can hide your imperfections with double kettlebells. When you're asymmetrically loaded, asymmetries, movement incompetencies, if you will, that's a fancy word, will magnify. They'll magnify, but you can't see that. It's hidden when you have two bells. It's hidden when you're using a barbell. So in the beginning, highly recommend, spend a lot of time with single kettlebell, okay? But before you do that, you need to understand this. So taking it all the way down to the ground, okay? And that is it for this video. I encourage you, practice this, get on the floor. And the great thing about what we're showing you today is this is part of what we call the strength engine. So the strength engine is two pillars of our training system. Engine number one, strength engine. Inside the strength engine, there are three pieces. Less is more approach, fewer moving parts, high accessibility. So anytime we put any kind of training protocol together for our students, for the people in our program, Hardstyle Fitness Academy, and in the Better Man Blueprint, it has to pass the strength. Three elements there. Does it take a less is more approach? Are there fewer moving parts? Meaning two kettlebells, that's not fewer moving parts. Or it's got kettlebells, you need a barbell, you need jump rope, you need all these things. So fewer moving parts. And the last one is high accessibility. Can we do it pretty much almost anywhere, anytime? Bodyweight, this is high accessibility. Kettlebell is the next level on accessibility. Kettlebell you can pretty much take with you traveling, you could probably fly with it too, I guess, but if you're traveling, you can pack up a kettlebell with you and take it on the road and maintain consistency with your strength training, right? Barbell, you're not gonna get that accessibility. You can't pack up a barbell and play, you could, but I don't think that's gonna make your wife and family very happy. You can't take that with you, right? So there's a give and take in a lot of these, but when it comes to repeatability, when it comes to consistency, strength engine, gotta pass all three, all right? And this drill in part one of this series passes all three. Less is more approach, so it's just your body weight. Fewer moving parts, again, just your body weight. We don't need kettlebells, we don't need weights, we don't need any of that. And then high accessibility. You could do this anywhere. You could do this in your living room, you can do it anywhere, all right? So I recommend, practice this, get on the floor. Can you maintain integrity on all 6 points? Can you maintain integrity on all 4 points? If you can, you're one step closer to owning your single kettlebell movements, even your one arm, one leg push-up type stuff. That's something that you're practicing. And I feel confident guaranteeing this. If you're an advanced person watching this and you put this stuff into practice and you spend time with this cross-body stability stuff, I guarantee it will make you stronger and more competent in your single kettlebell movements and even into your double kettlebell movements. So that's it for this episode, all right? So if you're liking this, be sure to like it, drop me a comment, let me know how it turned out for you. And if you're not part of the channel, be sure to subscribe that way and hit the notification, however all that stuff works. I don't know how any of that stuff works, but like, subscribe, hit the notification so that way you can stay up to date when we launch the next video in this series on how to build a stronger, more capable body with a kettlebell and your body weight. So see you on the next one. Peace.